What's up, family, and good morning to my mentees. So, today I'm here to talk to you about God's gifts to you. And have a journal here. Everyone should have a journal. And it's a journal that I picked up in Target about maybe a year ago. And I couldn't leave Target without it. Target has like that hold on you when you see certain things, but I definitely couldn't leave the store without it. And I'll read it to you. So it says, be bold, take risk, live life freely, lead by example, trust your gut, say what you feel, mean what you say, express gratitude, believe in your power, exceed your expectations, dance the night away, skip down the street, don't take no for an answer. Be your best self, don't look back. So I have quite a few journals, and as a recruiter, when I travel, when I go to different career fairs, I always end up picking, several ones up. Like, I'll give you an example. A great one from Amazon, actually. So this is one that I got from a career fair. I don't know if you can see it. It says military, but as you can see, it's with the Amazon smile. So Amazon was giving them away, and couldn't leave without one. It's definitely a handy little journal, mini size, but it works. And journals are not, as we say, as some think that journals or diaries are just for women or young ladies. Men should have a journal too. One particular place that I get a lot of journals from and give to some of my mentees that are female are from Burlington's, to believe it or not. But I'm looking to try to do something with Burlington's as far as creating journals for young men. So it doesn't have to be this big, but basically, if you have a journal, you can write down pretty much what you're going through, write down goals, how you want to achieve certain things, what you expect from yourself, and moving on from that. It's powerful to have a journal. You can't keep everything up here, so it must go down on paper. And I have an article that I want to read, but first I want to share a short story of why I started the R.O.S.E project. So, life after high school was a hard transition. There was a lot of frustration, a lot of confusion. I didn't know, which direction to go. I knew I wanted to go to college by way of having a mentor and a coach by the name of Randolph Warren. And, his wit, his heightened self-confidence, just everything made me feel like I could do it as well. So in the beginning, I knew that I wanted to do something or to help kids in a certain way when I was much younger, but I did not know how to do that. So you have to find that niche and figure out what specific area you're really looking to target as far as giving back. Like, you have to have the experience, number one. And number two, you can't just make something up because it's not going to be real. And it's not, people are not going to believe in what you're doing. Not saying that you shouldn't believe in what you're doing yourself, because I do all the time, and it's actually a hard thing to do, especially when you're being independent. But as long as you trust the process, and I'm not saying it's an easy process, because it's not. There is no easy way. You have to go the route that's given to you by God. There are lessons in between those routes. There are hardships. There are good times. There are moments where you're going to cry your eyes out like you've never cried before. There's going to be moments where you turn into, something else that you never thought that you would actually think about. And for some of us, sadly, it's depression, it's suicide, And that's one thing that I really am saddened by in the world, because suicide is like one of the number one, Lord, suicide is like the number one thing. And I just don't understand. I won't say I don't understand, because I had a situation when I was a bit younger, battling depression and all the way into my adulthood, as far as losing someone that was close to me. But I don't ever think that I wanted to take my own life away. But I won't lie, there were thoughts of not being here, because you have this yearning feeling, or you have this longing for someone that you can never get back. Like, it's done. The connection is gone. The person is gone. That person will never return. It's impossible for them to return. Um, so back to what really made me get up off the couch and do it. Um, During the time that one of my grandmothers were really ill with cancer, we had several discussions about worldly things. We had several discussions about, the way children are raised. We had discussions about, how the family is. We had discussions about pretty much the world. And then also, my great grandmother used to tell me back in the day that, chaos is out here in the world. And this was before I even got into the world. She would warn me about chaos being out there. So the original name, sorry about that. So the original name before the R.O.S.E project was Footprints of the Future. And this was something that I strongly thought would be a great name, because we've always heard children are the future. But what does that really mean to some of us? As far as our community, as far as our family, as far as our elected officials, as far as things around us. Do you have the right connections around you? Do you have the resources? Is anyone able to tell you things that you don't know? Prime example, I wanted to learn about stocks and bonds and everything under the sun. I would look at newspapers on my own, but I was confused. I didn't know how to make the connection as far as getting those, you know, numbers, or figuring out what the strategic plan would be as far as how to match certain things. I wanted to know about hedge funds. But guess what? I didn't have anyone around to tell me anything about that, because no one around me knew anything about that. So I've always felt like I had to go above and beyond to do my own research. But even still, in doing your own research, you can still become lost and confused, because if it doesn't make sense to you and it's not sticking, how do you know what to do? So Footprints of the Future was first, and then I was working on things. Yes, I was working on things. The way that I was working on it in the beginning, I don't believe was the right direction. I would try to collaborate with certain people, but people would try to make it seem like, oh, it was just for me, or oh, they wanted to take over what I was giving ideas out for, and it just was not a mutual or good feeling. So I can kind of match energies and feel like basically what the flow is, and if you're not as excited about it as I am, I really don't want to do it. So I had two setbacks that initially drew me towards the R.O.S.E project. Now, the first setback was a car accident before graduation. And I'll tell that story a whole nother time, but that was the first setback. I lost a lot. I learned a lot. My eyes were a lot clearer as far as, who was around me, what was going on, how people are there for you, how people are not there for you in certain situations, and what you would do and what you would do if somebody else was in that situation versus the energy you get back. So that was the first setback, was a car accident. Then I had a freak accident, which was a much more of an eye opener, and I felt like I was not in the space or in the place where God wanted me to be, because I felt like I wasn't listening and I was being punished. Honest to God, I felt like I was being punished. I didn't think it was karma. I just think that it was me being pushed or forced to share something that somebody else probably would never hear. I was embarrassed about a lot of it because I had to essentially expose the deep things that I went through when I lived away from home. And as far as not knowing my way in the world, just trying to get by, but not really living. One of my deepest moments, the bottom of the barrel, as most people would say, was being homeless, and that was one of the top secrets that I had to actually expose, that a lot of people did not know about in the beginning. And it was hard. I fought it for a while because I did not want that side to come out of me. But I believe the second accident, the second turnaround being the freak accident, was a complete eye opener, because it was like my mind blew to another level. And I don't know how to explain that. Some people might understand that through this video, through that message, but I've always had a pretty much heightened sense of mentality or mental capabilities as far as dealing with things a lot more than other people. And not only being, with that being said, I think I've been led and been touched in the right way by everyone who has came into my life, who has touched my life, who has gave me the lessons, the blessings, whatever you want to call them. And I believe that has always protected me, and also a higher power has protected me from so many things, so many things. But this journal that I hold right here is actually the second part of me actually formulating and creating all of this right here. The logo was created by one of my good friends that I consider a big brother. He went to Fort Valley State University. They also have an excellent university, excellent program. They make you want to go to Fort Valley when you mentor and volunteer with them. But he created the logo, and I'll give you a basic concept of the logo. His name is Robert Walker. He created the logo, Robert Walker Jr. He created the logo, and let me just turn around here. So, Rose came from my grandmother, who is Turkish. So she would always have the good luck charm, which was the Turkish eye, in every vehicle, probably in the house. I believe it was in the house. And she would just always tell us, like, this is good luck charm, this is what it is. And it protects you, gives you, the wealth you need, the answers, whatever the case may be. So it's interesting because what he did actually shocked me when I seen it, because I had no idea that it would kind of look like this. I was looking for more of a real Rose look. But when it comes to designing or doing graphics, you have to make it, the way the designer makes it in a technical aspect that would actually be creative. But just look at the segments and look at the lines, how they just cut off for certain things. So it's the Turkish flag, and it's also the good luck charm, but a lowercase r. So if some people will say, if you look at it, you could see an eye. So it's kind of like an eye opener. Um, and that's pretty much what it is. And I love it. I fell in love with it when I first seen it, and this will be the logo that represents the R.O.S.E project. And the R.O.S.E project stands for, and how I created it was after my grandmother's passing, I had dreams. I have dreams about family a lot. Some people probably know that. Some people probably don't know that. And if you don't know, now you know. There's a lot of us in the world that are deeply connected to certain energies, deeply connected to our families. It bothers us in certain situations, and that's just what it is. It's a gift. So that's why this video is God's gift to you. And so it's two-tone. It's actually like a burgundy red, and then a brighter red, and then the Turkish good luck eye charm with a lowercase r. So if you didn't see that before, now you see it. So okay, so the R.O.S.E project stands for removing obstacles, strongholds, and excuses. Now these are the elements of what I went through life and after high school into the real world. So with that being said, I wanted to take everything that not only that I went through, the lessons that I learned in life, the lessons that I learned from her and family, and the lessons that I learned from all my coaches and my mentors. Removing obstacles, strongholds, and excuses. So if that resonates to you, go ahead and click the subscribe button because we got more. In addition to that, so let's explain. So I wanted to create something that will kind of give a scope of, I had to find the paper because I have other things that I wrote down for it too, because it was several other names. I can't even remember right now. But I just wanted to make it an acronym, R.O.S.E. And yes, this is the way it is written when it's written out. Just like you would write any other corporation or any other big name, place that you write it out the way that it looks. So when I get mail that says the R.O.S.E project without the dots in the middle, I done lost respect. That is what it is. So some of them I got back, especially from a lot of the places in D.C. as far as doing background checks and stuff like that. They always write it on the envelope. I actually have one that I need to find as well. I'll show you later. But they write the dots in between as well, which makes you proud as a person that, you're respected. Everybody wants respect. This is what it is. So, I laid it out in a format where I kept writing it and I couldn't sleep. So I would get up and I would write it down, and I would get up and I would write it down, and I would ask a friend, does this sound right? Does that sound right? And then finally came up with what I didn't want and what I wanted to push away. So I was confused, I was lost in a lot of my journeys as a young teenager, adult, as you would say. And I wanted to do things that you wanted to take out of it, but also make a positive impact. So that's how you have the R for removing, the O for obstacles, because that's what you want to do. You want to remove the obstacles. And how would you do that? You would do that by finding a mentor, finding the right resources, talking to someone that you highly respect. Ask them to be your mentor. Ask someone that you know if you want to know something about something that they may have interest in that you have interest in. So strongholds. Strongholds, that's a deep one. Strongholds actually comes from me holding on to a lot of things that really didn't matter. not saying that they didn't matter, but trying to figure it out in a way where people would understand how I felt, or understanding why people act the way they act in certain situations. And like some people say, oh, well, they're just never going to change. That's just how they are. I don't accept that. So the strongholds will hold you back from doing something with your own life. But guess what? At the end of the day, that person can sleep at night. You're the only one that's restless. The only one. And why? So I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not. But the strongholds, understand what they are, write them down, recognize them, and let them go. Like, you can't control everything. And that was one thing that I tried to do in my younger years at that time when I was lost and confused, was try to control things that were out of my control. You have to let things roll and play like they're supposed to play out. So the E goes for excuses. Now this one goes for, back to my coach, Coach Warren. I call him Coach Dub. I don't know what everybody else call him, but excuses. So I wanted to remove the excuses. We all make a lot of excuses for almost everything. And complaining was one of the number one things that I did a lot when I was younger, because I had no direction. I had no one to tell me, this is how you do that. It was always, you ain't gonna do it this way because I said so. Now, how many out there have family like that? That is what it was. That's the way we were raised. But you should also express why someone shouldn't do something a certain way. Or, if you're complaining about something, recognize why you're complaining. But even still, how can I change that so I won't have to complain? Or am I getting the right resources? Or is this the necessary, is this excuse, so out there that I'm ruining things around me, or I'm not looking at certain things in the right perspective? So excuses. He wouldn't give us no way to make an excuse. It was just like, did you do it or you didn't do it? Or it's either you did it or you didn't. So the excuses really held you accountable. So it was like, why? So it's number one. A lot of people, I've done it several times before. So sometimes you will forget your cleats for practice or whatever. So it's like, why did you forget your cleats, or what was you doing? But guess what? You didn't leave that cell phone at home. So that was a valuable lesson from him with his, high level of confidence. And he would sit there like this. And then he had to whistle. Yeah, he had to whistle, and he would look at you like you crazy, like, okay. And then it's just funny, but it was real, and I don't believe in role models. I don't believe in anything that people are trying to get you to follow, because you have your own footsteps to follow, and you need to be real more than a role model. So I'd rather be a real model and show, youth and whoever wants to know, what they should do in a certain situation or whatever the case may be. So that last part is the project. So the project comes from me wanting to have a umbrella. So there's always two sides to things. So like we got the bright red here, we have the burgundy red here. So there's always two sides to things. So you have a good amount of luck on this side and a great amount of luck on that side. But the project comes from just getting away from being a program. I don't like the word program, because in my mind it's a conditioning state where, football program or dance program, whatever the case may be, it's like you're being trained to think in a one direction or one track mind situation, even though you have to have certain skills, but it always revert back to, you know, um, how do we get to step one or whatever the case may be. Life is not like that. Life is a roller coaster that you will never know when it will speed up or when it will slow down. You could be stuck and picture it in the wheel of the roller coaster. The track, not the wheel, I'm sorry. The track that goes around. When you can go around and go up, you get stay there, you get stuck. You're gonna be stuck for a long time. But then it finally starts moving along and completes the full circle. And guess what? You're taking off. So the project basically is like an umbrella to all resources out in the world, because I want everyone's eyes to open up. I want you to understand that there is more out there. If you have never been outside of your home state, or a prime example here in Washington, D.C., where most kids have never been to the Washington Monument or the National Museums, which I believe is ludicrous because they're free 365 days a week. And you live in the nation's capital and you've never been to the mall, the National Mall, or the museum, or whatever the case may be. And there's free festivals. You can look up calendars online, find all types of information. But this is in your own backyard and you've never been there before. You have kids that come from way across the world to come get the resources that you already have. Because guess what? Their eyes are open. Not only are their eyes are open, the kids' eyes are open, the parents' eyes are open, the teachers' eyes are open from way across the way. The programs, if those that have programs, the projects, the mentoring groups, the travel groups, the summer camps, and that's another thing, summer camps. I definitely want to try to do a summer camp this summer, trying to figure out what that looks like now. So I might collaborate with a few folks to make that happen. But I want the kids to be exposed to things outside of their own environment. So what I'm going to do is I've been planning something called City Walk for about 2 years now, I want to say. And when I first started off, I wanted to do the project thing, but it just wasn't working out. It was halfway. I couldn't make it what it wanted to be, but this year it's going to happen full circle. The Smithsonian, National Smithsonian Museums, they have 19 museums, and the goal is to take all of whoever wants to go to the National Museums. We will create a schedule or calendar from the spring through the fall, and pretty much all you need to do is volunteer. Most people need to do is just volunteer. That could be 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be. We're not asking for a full day or a whole day, but if you can give us a full day or a whole day, that will work better in our favor. But trust and believe, when you meet some of these kids, your heart is going to just open up to them. You're going to see the same thing that you saw in yourself when you were a child. That's just the way it goes. And my grandma will always teach us, you have to open up your heart to the world, but you also have to protect yourself. But you have to be more open to the world and see it for what it is, but you make your own evaluations on what that looks like. So not only will the kids visit the museums, and not only do we highly need volunteers, I participate in a Black and Brown Hack, which came from Statesman's Boys Academy in Washington, D.C. I need to find out about that. To see if they haven't won this year too, because I want to bring some other good men along with me too. But um, they're going to do evaluations, and I'm going to work with Burlington's to see if we can get some male journals, or I guess boys journals inside of it, because not only girls use journals, boys use journals too. Journals, notebooks, whatever the case may be. Pen, pad, what's the difference? But just those inspirational things, and you'll be amazed at what they will write in these books. So Burlington's, I'm watching out for you, or Target, whichever one. But I'm writing both of y'all. I've written Burlington's a letter, but I haven't received anything back. And it's been a while, so I need to either send another letter or follow up. But they will take journals, and they will have pens. My group in Baltimore, I bought them all journals. They actually came from Burlington's, and it had a message on there from Jeremiah, a scripture from Jeremiah. But they need more male journals. I mean, come on, work with me. Need more male journals. It's just not for females, or they have the fancy ones for females. I mean, ones with the spirals on it, and unicorns and all fancy sayings, and glitter, gold, all that. You don't need all that, but you do need a great message, or a direct message that will make them understand where they're trying to go. Just something as simple as this. Like, my favorite one on here is, don't take no for an answer. Be your best self. I never take no for an answer, because guess what? No turns me on. I turn my no on. It's backwards for me. And it should be the same way for you. So, many of the kids that are mentored have some type of family or home situation going on. They may be in the home or not in the home. But kids are stimulated in a bad way, because we have all been a kid before. We have all had something to affect us in a certain way. And it still lingers today. You will never forget it. You never got over it. But it still lingers with us today. And with that being said, we are all grown boys and grown girls. That's just what it is. Everything that you were affected with when you were much younger carried into your adulthood, and it's either you received the help that you needed, or you didn't receive the help that you needed, but you suppressed it, or you've moved on and said, I'll make my life better despite what have happened. And that's a good thing. But for some of us, if you do need therapy, I would advise you to seek therapy. And some of us need therapy. Now, I will say, I have been to therapy before when I was younger, but that did not work. And more so because it was forced, but it didn't work. I have a deep connection with anything that I do, and it's hard to not want the best for people, but sometimes people can not want the best for you, but your gift is to give, and the greater gift to do from that gift from God is to serve. And service is everything in this world. Service will get you what you need, what you want, and it will also put you in a great position to, meet new things, meet new people, greater connections, people who can set you up in positions that you would never ever expect, or it would never happen on your own. That's just what it is. So I always tell even, people that I meet that are new or I make connections with, I'm glad to have met you. I'm grateful for this connection, because guess what? People will never forget how you made them feel. People will never understand where you're coming from when you do such genuine things, because sometimes some people are not used to that. And it's sad because when you look at something, let's say, prime example, as a kid, when you have been trained or raised the right way, or you knew what to do at certain points of time, and you see another kid acting out, let's say, prime example, at the doctor's office, what you think you're gonna do as a kid? You're gonna look at the kid like, what? Like, nah, you don't act like that. You don't act like that. Mm-mm. So it's a lot to do with the way you were raised and how you look at people when you grow up. It's just like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you show out like that? It's something that some people are not used to, and it looks different to them. And we've all been there, because guess what? Some of you was raised with those intentions of like, another example would be when you look at somebody crazy because they don't know how to do something. But guess what? Somebody taught you how to do it, and it became the norm to you. One of my prime examples was when I first went to college. I had a roommate who was sloppy, nasty, and didn't wash clothes. Then come to find out why the clothes was packed and styled, was stacked and piled so high, was because he didn't know how to wash clothes. I'm like, huh? Yeah, that look. Then the third thing would be when I went to college and one of the football coaches was being disrespected by one of the players. Now, if you know, being a baller in Prince George's County, or being a baller at any school with discipline and respect and all of that, you didn't do nothing like that. What team are you playing for now? What team are you gonna play for? Because that doesn't happen. You should always hold your coaches, your teachers, your mentors to a higher level, and you should never disrespect them on any type of level like that. You can be mad, but that's not the way you should act. That's not the way you're going to act. And if you do act that way, you have to suffer the consequences. And some people will get mad. I've seen people be put off the team due to their actions. It's like, put your stuff in the locker. You have a good day. I don't know what else to tell you. So then everybody else walking around school, they got their jerseys on, ready for the game, and now you are not on the team anymore. And I'm sure that, your pride was a little too high and you kind of felt a certain way, but come on now, you get over that after a while. And now you have to suffer the consequences because that coach meant what they said. So I had a quick article. See if my stapler works. So I get these little gadgets. My aunt, she is terrible. She gives me these gadgets from Comcast. So this is a stapler and a sticky note holder. So this stapler is like magnetized. Look at that. So I'm gonna try to see if my stapler is working, because I think I have another one that works. But let's see. Bam! Okay, cool. So, have an article. Okay, cool. So I have an article that I printed out. I don't know if you can see it. Probably there. From the Washington Post. And it was written by, I believe it was, I read his stories all the time. Joe Achenbach, I believe is his name. So it shows that something is terribly wrong in America. And this reverts back to where I'm going to head to actually getting off of my behind and getting all of this situated on board, going down to the ah going down to the building in Baltimore in Baltimore, Maryland, and actually getting everything incorporated, getting everything situated, spending my last bit of money on what I had at the time due to my situation, to get this off the ground and get it running, because I felt like if I didn't do it now, then when would I do it? And there was a situation that had occurred, but I'll tell you that after this. So this article came out on the 26th. So I've been holding this for a while. And it says, there's something terribly wrong. Americans are dying young at alarming rates. Now, the first thing that I saw on here was the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Now, I wrote an ebook this year, and the first thing I have in there is, if you need help, is to reach out to the National Suicide Lifeline. It's in bold, it has the number, it has the website, it's in all red, all the letters are in all caps, and that is a serious epidemic right now as far as life, and why young people believe that life is not so important. So it says death rates from suicide, drug overdoses, liver disease, and dozens of other causes have been rising over the past decade for young and middle-aged adults, driving down overall life expectancy in the United States for 3 consecutive years, according to a strikingly bleak study published Tuesday that looked at the past 6 decades of mortality data. And what was the other spot? What was it at? Okay, he said many factors are at play. The opioid epidemic is a major driver of the worrisome numbers, but far from the sole cause. Now that's one thing that I have a problem with, is the opioids, but I'm not going to get into that right now. It's funny how the wording of things change, and come on now, you know what I'm talking about when I say the wording of things change when it comes to a certain demographic. But nevertheless, life is still important no matter what race, what age, what gender. It's important. So it says the study found that improvements in life expectancy, largely because of lower rates of infant mortality, began to slow in the 1980s, long before the opioid epidemic became a national tragedy. What did I just say? And the 80s sparked what? I rest my case. Okay, so now I'll talk about what made me actually get up off of my behind, as they would say. So I was sitting up on the couch one day, like this. Foot rested. That's the same foot, by the way. Foot rested, and the news came on. And I can't remember what article it was. Let me grab my phone and see if I can find it. But I don't want to say his name wrong, but it struck a chord. Let me see if I can find the article real quick. So it happened in Northeast, I believe it was. Was this it? I don't know. It wasn't Northeast. It was Southeast DC. Okay. So, oh man. So this article makes me choke up all the time. But this is actually why I started the process, and I think I went. What day was this? Yeah, I went immediately that week to get everything things started. So it says Amari Jenkins, 21, was shot multiple times about 12:10 p.m. on the 4900 block of East Capitol Street Southeast, and then collapsed on the steps of St. Luke Roman Catholic Church. Police are seeking a blue Honda Odyssey. Now, what struck me with this is people from the neighborhood have lost sons to the same type of killings. But what got me first was because the person was shot so many times. And I'm just like in my head, like, what to me, I said, what is going on in the world? I was confused. I was like, you know, people would always say that, you know, everyone, all kids are bad, or all kids are the same. That's not true. Um, man, that thing still bothers me. So I just keep thinking back to that time when I was on the couch and I saw it. But the thing about it is, you know, somebody took that person's child away from them. And I just don't understand how you can get to the point where you could take someone else's life. But what I had to realize was that the people that hurt this woman's son, somebody also has hurt them. Somebody has also led them in the wrong direction. And when I saw the rest of the video, when I saw the rest of the report, the mother was walking in circles and she kept screaming, "My heart, my heart, my heart, my heart." And I just began to cry like no other. Like, ooh. That's all I remember her saying is my heart. She was walking in circles. She was throwing her hands up. She was pacing. She was going back and forth. She was just my heart, and she was out there like this, and oh man. But that's what made me do it because I wanted to be the change. I wanted to just be a little change to some because you only have to reach one, and you've done your job. But I feel like giving up is not an option when it comes to kids, whatever you want to call them, kids, youth, young adults, and that's part of that demographic because he was only 21. So what if he would have had the right resources? What if he would have been led in the right direction? What if he would have had a mentor? He may still be alive today because whatever had happened or transpired, I don't know. But he may still be here today if he would have had the right guidance. And I've experienced that this past year of 2019 where my uncle's life was taken away in April of 2019. And it made me feel defeated. It made me want to give up. It made me want to quit. And when I sat here in bed for about 2 days, I don't know what happened. It was like I got reminded of this article and this news report that I seen on why I started this and what the goal is, what the purpose is. This is a life goal. I'm looking to create lifelong relationships. I'm not looking to do anything no one time, no one-sided. I deal with the main dish. There are no side dishes. fast. I'm not into politics, so don't ask me that. I'm not into trying to do what everybody else want me to do. Everybody else want a program. Everyone else want a certain direction. Everybody else want a certain center. Everybody else wants to get a building. I don't want none of that. The world, the world, the world. That's what I want, the world. And I don't just want it for me. I'm saying I want this so kids in the world can understand what is going on. Open their eyes to see what's going on out here. To create their own path, their own journey. So they won't be confused or lost or frustrated like I was at one point in time. And I've also tried to find that video with the woman walking around like that, but I don't know if they took it down or not because I could never find it after that. But I'm glad I couldn't find it because I probably would have been a little depressed over it because it was heartbreaking. It was very heartbreaking. I could not believe what I was seeing, what was happening. And it wasn't just that case. It was several cases too, because it kind of clicked and made me realize that something is going on, something is wrong. But the thing is, if you don't have the resources, you cannot build yourself or anything around you or show anyone something different if you don't have the right resources. The resources are what matters the most. And you need those. Every community needs those. Every community. So I am in the process of working directly. I make direct connections. I am making a lifelong relationship. I am creating lifelong relationships. I don't want your money. I don't want that. I want a lifelong relationship. I want a abundance. I want a wheel of fortune through lessons, through life, through everything that I can get to help and motivate these kids to do something different, to show them that they are coming from the same communities that we came from Southeast Washington, D.C., all over the city, Northwest, Uptown, whatever the case may be, Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Atlanta, Georgia, Orlando, Florida. I have mentees in Orlando, Florida. I'm actually working on a school in California, and it's actually funny because I met the woman on the plane. Met a teacher on the plane. A delayed flight. So what if that flight was never delayed? And that's why I tell you about connections and making lifelong relationships. What if that connection would have never been delayed and I never met this teacher? I would never know what she does, who she was, and how to make a connection with a school out in California. I would never know that. But it's by God and by faith that I met this woman because my flight was delayed. It was the last one of the night, and it was actually a mistake. So we sat there and we complained. It was United. Go figure. But we complained. So I'm looking to make those direct connections. I'm looking to make sure that these kids are taken care of mentally, and the parents are also getting the help that they need as well, because as a recruiter, I'm able to help people do resumes or find a job, whatever the case may be. But I'm looking for those lifelong connections. I'm making a direct connection. I am going to you. I am coming to you. I am calling you on the phone. If you want to schedule a phone call, call me directly. Let me know. Text me. I don't care. There's never going to be a time where I won't reach back out to you directly if you call me. I got a call yesterday, actually, from a guy that I met at the museum, the Smithsonian. Go figure, Mr. Ishmael. So how I met him is I was I going to a Comcast event, and I was on my way to that event, but then I saw him standing outside, and something just told me make the left turn and figure out, see if you can ask him about the Smithsonian and what the deal is, and how you can do this city walk thing across all 19 museums and what that would look like, and who you can reach and contact or whatever. He gave me his phone number. Actually called me yesterday. We talked on the phone for a good, I guess, 20 minutes. He does live in the area. He's a retired veteran, and I want to work with veterans too. So I love hiring veterans. I want to work with veterans. I am looking to make those type of connections because we all have a piece to offer each other. We are sent here to serve. Think about it. Don't just go to church Monday through Friday and Sunday. That's for some of us, but I'm just playing. Don't just go to church and not do anything outside of the church. Don't just bring a friend to church. Find another way to help. You could bring that friend to church, but find another way to help. Go do outreach. Go volunteer at a senior citizen home. And that was the other thing. The whole basis of this project is to collaborate and do projects and find resources for anyone, regardless of age. Because I seen the hardships that most senior citizens go through as far as not being able to get affordable housing, and they spending their whole Social Security check or whatever you want to call it, whatever check they're getting, and they barely have any food to eat. My grandmother, for instance, was offered $11. $11. What are you gonna do with that? So, even in my situation, I went to social services at one point in time, and I was down. The injury couldn't work. My freak accident injury couldn't work. Went there, asked for help just for 1 month. 1 month. I had to go through all these programs, give up my whole life, but I didn't. I chose not to do that. I chose to jump ship. I chose to do something better. I chose to stay in prayer. I chose to get down and ask for what I need from God and help Him help me, because I made a promise to Him years ago, and now I'm fulfilling that promise, and this is that promise. I didn't know what it looked like. You may not know what it looked like right now, but you have the gifts. Uh-oh, tic-tac-toe, tic-tac-toe. That's funny. But God has a gift, and He's given it to you already, but you have to find out what that gift means. And what it means to you, what it means to you. You have to find out what it means to you. And you have to plan and you have to execute. And don't try to make it a fast, overnight type thing, because that doesn't happen. You have people been working nonprofits and other organizations for 10 or 15 years, and then they took off, or whatever the case may be. But understand your worth, know who you are, your value, your time. That's another basis of this, is time. Because a lot of people don't have time. And a lot of people waste time. I've wasted time sometimes. Well, a lot of times. A lot of times. But time, understand what time means to you. What does time mean to you? Time to me means learning something that I do not already know. Learning something that I am willing to, understanding stuff that I don't already know, and willing to learn from other people, mentors, other programs or projects, and do anything that I have to do in order to make it and succeed successfully in my own definition of success. Because success is just not all about money. Success is about happiness. So understand your worth, know your worth, understand your time, use your time wisely. God's gifts to you. He gave you the gift. Now go out and give, and you will receive. You have to be a giver. You have to be a giver. Remember that. So I just want to thank you for stopping in on this message to anyone who needs to hear it, and also to my mentees. Uh, I will have a giveaway soon for mentees, and I'll let you know what that is. But the holidays are coming up, so a lot of them are expecting certain things. Ring. So, if you like this video, please share it with somebody else. Share it with the parent. Share it with the kid. Someone who's looking to go to college. Someone who's looking for, how to find their way. Young adult, high schooler, middle schooler. It doesn't matter. Kids should be mentored from K through 12. That's my belief. The moment that your brain start functioning is the moment that you should be being mentored. I'm trying to work on certain elementary schools now, and I do need help. So I will be reaching out directly to people that I'm looking for help for, and I'll put a few names out there now. So let's see, off the top of my head, my football brothers, Gregory Harrison, my other football brother, Lawrence Sidbury, a great realtor who is an alumni, Amanda Lee, who else? Miss Anita Jarman. She is also she also has a great and excellent program for students called the G Lee Project. I'll post that under here so you'll know who it is. Christian Hopkins, she is also, her and Anita, DSU alumni, Delaware State University. It's a lot of power in connections. And Delaware State definitely has a lot of connections doing their thing. And I went there at one point in time. I'll tell you about that story later, but I do still love all of my Hornet family. We actually have Phil, who is doing his Warrior thing down in Baltimore. So I'll post everybody I talk about or name. I'll post who they are, where they're from, and give you their direct connection to their website or their Instagram page. But basically, I'm looking for 2020 to be explosive. I have a lot of good things in the works as far as making connections with people, and there's a lot of greater good. There was one conversation that I had for 30 minutes from my man Joe, and if you don't know, his girl, she is Danny Devastation. I'll post that too, but she's amazing, and she's doing good things, and hoping that things can flourish for her, for rivers, abundance of flow. Working on making these connections and trying to do everything in a greater light for a greater purpose, and it's coming along. It's really coming along. But I do need volunteers. I will be reaching out. There's a place in Montgomery County that I will be getting volunteers from. And I met this lady, another way, Miss LaDonna Maxey from handing out flyers at, I think it was Flowers High School for one of the events. And it's just amazing how God works. But I'm working. Who else? Cuzzo, Mike Jack is M Jack Sounds. If you don't know, now you know. He is a DJ in the Washington, D.C. area, and y'all keep getting his name wrong, so put some respect on his name. They had an event last night, but I wasn't able to go. I'll try to see what's up this coming week. But looking to do some great projects with him as well. And just want 2020 to be explosive. I want it to excel. I want it to be everything that the kids ever dreamed of. And I want to see us. I want to see, people of all races come together. And that's what I mean by us. I'm not just talking about one demographic. I'm talking about us, all people, because I am not just one culture or one race. I'm a mixture as well. So I understand how some people feel in certain ways, and some people will never understand how people of a mixed race or culture feels to a certain extent. You may say you do, but sometimes you don't, because other people may bully you or pick on you because you look a certain way or make you feel a certain way. But I don't know.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record.